What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to One Piece 1169. We're going to be reading it live today. Sorry we're later than usual. I've been sick for the past, week. So, sound a little bit better than I thought. I thought I was coming into this sounding like I smoked 4 packs of cigarettes for 40 years. But, hopefully I'm on the mend here. And hopefully this stream today doesn't have the technical issues that we dealt with for the last chapter. If it does, as always, let me know if things start to lag or change for anyone, because then it means I did some overhauls, like I updated the program, which I don't usually do for certain reasons. It tends to mess with different settings and things like that, but I did that. I tried to do some maintenance, so I'm hoping the things that I did fixed everything. It's essentially what I'm saying. And then I also am trying to do this new thing. So, I mean, this stream could potentially be like a trial of this. I saw something in a different stream that I was watching. Someone was using some program and they were able to click on a chat and then it would pop up on the screen oh, this might actually work. All right, cool. So yeah, so do you guys see that? How I just highlighted a chat and brought it up? Did that work? It's not really loading a lot of the chats here. It literally only brought up that one, so this might be a little bit, but oh, wait a second. Okay. It takes a little bit of time for it all to populate, but I think it's kind of cool that we should be able to, as we're going through the discussion, whoever's comment I'm actually reading, I should be able to click on it now and it'll appear in the corner. So anybody that's just tuning in will see oh, that's what we're talking about. And I think that that's kind of a cool idea. So love that. Jump Festa just happened. Okay. So Oda's message is out. According to Oda, we're gonna get the man marked by flames this year. That's what it seems like. And as usual, Blank and Blank are going to meet, and Blank is going to do something. But the biggest thing of all is the most footage that has been released yet for season 2 is out. So if you guys haven't seen that, it's a little teaser right before Christmas. So all right, so in the meantime, I'm going to pull up the chapter here. Start with page 1. We've got a lovely spread here of the Rocks Pirates. Love this. It's reminding me of the uh, Strong World Wanted color spread that Oda did, you know, as a tie-in for the Strong World movie. Kind of gives me that vibe. Like, Oda's definitely done, like, versions of this with the Straw Hats. So this is cool. I'd say the interesting things of note here are it's like Caribou's dad has like green hair maybe, and Don Marlowe has blue hair. Man, pardon me guys, I'm still going through it. Rox is looking great though. Man, that's cool. Okay, so here we go. So we are jumping back to I assume around the time that Shanks and Scopper were in the hot tub. Getting a little bit more of that conversation. Which is what we talked about last time. That, like, the way it all ended, with now back to the story, it's like, okay, so this is the version of the story that makes more sense to come from Loki, even though we're getting technically some like omniscient narrator stuff still. Which is funny. But we'll get into this. Okay, so 14 years ago, Sun World Elbaf, Gabon's house. What? Roger had a son? Okay. So, I have been a big proponent for the idea that Shanks deliberately sought out the Goa Kingdom because he was looking for Ace. I think that part of the prophecy was like, I gotta give this fruit to Ace. And then Luffy accidentally eats it. And then it's like, oh no, it chose him, and that's the way that the story's supposed to go. Fate, fate, fate. So Shanks knowing that Ace was Roger's son, which is something that has never been confirmed until now, kind of feeds into that. So let's move forward. Apparently so. That's what Garp told me, at least. So Garp and Gabon had a conversation about Ace. I'm amazed that he survived the Navy's search then. Well, in that case, I guess he's like a little brother to me. You're not wrong about that. You and Buggy were our sons. He's got Captain Rogers' blood, then I guess he'll be the next generation's king of the pirates. It ain't a hereditary position. Sometimes those with the greatest expectations placed on them fail to achieve that greatness. Man, that hits. Seeing a line like that from Gabon, it unfortunately brings to mind like the tragedy that happened this week with Rob Reiner. That's what it makes me think of. Even though, you know, that's not, you know, like exactly the intention, but I mean, like that's the idea that Oda's like kind of conveying here. You think so? It's what makes life fun and unpredictable. Next page. Meanwhile, the fateful scene at Elbaf's Aarhus castle. Oh no, Loki. Prince Loki has returned. Chief Ja Rule is here as well. Okay. Outside the royal chamber. Why did he, Your Majesty? He was going to chain you up, like you said. Why did I cut down my guard like that? It was like my body moved on its own. Was it to fulfill Imu's orders? To eliminate those who would stop me? Form an army of warriors. Okay. Next page. Am I incapable of fighting back? Can those orders even alter my very thoughts? For the rest of my life. For as long as I continue to live, my presence will only make this country worse. My body is a blight upon its safety. It was a waste. It was all for nothing. 140 years of life down the drain. Poor choices. Poor choices. Brandon said, but yeah, he's subtly making a nod to Ace and Marineford with that line. Of course. I mean, that's the actual, like, intention of it. My death cannot come soon enough. Quickly kill me. Hurry before it's all taken over. I refuse to let Elbaf be enslaved. What are you doing, Majesty? Hey, Pop. I'm back. What's going on in here? Harold, how can this be? I truly am immortal. I can feel my body recovering. Stop it. Run for your lives, men. Rah! What can I do to die? Someone help. The way Harold attacked here reminds me of a Whitebeard moment. I can't remember specifically which one, but like the way that it's drawn reminds me of it. I'm probably also reminded of Whitebeard here because they all have they're called Naganatas. They're all basically using Whitebeard's weapon. That's why I'm probably thinking this. Alright, so anyway, we got Loki and Ja Rule here. Let's make sure we get these likes up, guys. Everybody knows we're streaming. Obviously, a little later than usual and all that, but next page. All right. So basically, we're back with Shanks and Kaban. Basically, Harold and I have signed the shallowest of covenants with the Great One in the Holy Land. Even with just this shallowest covenant, we can't resist as long as we're within that freak's range. What an odd power. That's such a crazy line, within that freak's range, because it means that like his range, Imu's range is global at that point. Or are the circles like a network extender for, you know, his Wi-Fi or whatever? What an odd power. So once we were out of the Holy Land, we finally had the chance to talk openly. Okay, so this is what I've been waiting for, and this is what I was talking about, because conversation, like the text that we heard implied that they had a conversation like that was legitimate. So this is good. We needed this. Finally had the chance to talk openly. I knew it. You are from the Red-Haired Pirates. Harold was delighted about the deal he made to get Elbaf added to the government once he was in the Knights of God. But to do that, he has to sign the next level of this covenant. Is that bad or something? Next page. Through the covenant, the Holy Knights of God gain superhuman strength, an undying body, as well as the ability to generate an abyss, a means of traveling long distances. But in exchange, no matter where you are, you cannot defy the orders of the Great One, whose voice will reach you at any range. Yeah. So this basically confirms that Shanks cannot use the Abyss, which is a little disappointing because I thought that it would be kind of cool if he could do that and kind of teleport all over. But this also signals that Shanks, because he hasn't taken the second covenant, he's out of range. So if he agrees to the covenant, Harold will be forced to do what those people say. Knowing how greedy they are, I can't imagine they would keep their word and give him what they promised. I don't think Harold should join the... Okay. Things are happening. Next page. Alright. Loki and Harold have exchanged blows here. Hang on a second, Dad. What am I supposed to react to first? The fact that you haven't died with all those wounds, or the fact that you're trying to kill me and the castle guards? Where's the monster strength coming from? What happened to you, Harold? Come back to your senses. Guards, to the royal chamber. Help. Stop the king. He's been taken by madness. Are they fighting? Hurry. It must be that damn Loki. Save the king. Explain yourself, Harold. What happened? Chief Ja Rule, I made a terrible mistake. Very soon, I truly will lose my mind. Listen closely, Loki. Do as I say. I want you to tell the people of Elbaf exactly what happened here. That I killed my own guards. That I used joining the world government as an excuse to do their dirty bidding. Ultimately, they lied to me. And look at me now. I'm about to hand over the people of Elbaf to the government to be their slaves in battle. What do you mean? They tricked you? They never had any intention of honoring my request. Your Majesty. Chief Ja Rule, feed the treasure of Elbaf to Loki. Let the power of God, I will be unstoppable. Elbaf being enslaved by the government is the very antithesis of my dream. Makes me the worst king in the history of Elbaf. Next page. So you must kill me to take the throne, Loki. Tell the people what a fool of a king I was. Kill me and be a hero. Once I'm dead, my reputation means nothing to me. All that matters is Elbaf's future. Am I wrong? I like that panel of him crying, saying, am I wrong? I like that. You'd really do all this for... Bring it. He's starting to bang his head against the wall. Please, Loki, you're the only one who can do it. Next page. Yeah. Okay. There are criminals within the castle. Huh? Your Majesty. Seal the front gate. Right away, Your Majesty. So, Harold's on the offensive. He's going mad. You killed them all. You're not the real King Harold. But I am Harold. And I am now a vassal of the Great One. Damn. No one shall escape to tell the tale of what happened here. Okay. Hope we got some more pages in this. Next page. Hurry, run. I will give this country over to Emu. Very Loki. Why do I have to eat some devil fruit? Then I won't be able to swim anymore. We'll get into him. He's like a totally different person. Don't you dare eat it, Loki. That fruit belongs to me. You just told me to eat it. If you eat that fruit, it'll be the end of the world, Harold. Do it, Loki. Make sure Harold doesn't get that fruit. Wow. He launched that thing into Ja Rule's head. Lobotomized him. Gave me that blade years ago, Ja Rule. Now you can have it back. Damn. I'll eat that fruit and take Ragnir for myself. You cannot have it. Whoa. So there's got to be 2 fruits. Okay, all right. Yeah, we got Shanks and Gabon jumping in here. You love to see it. Okay. Let's go on. No, Rule, what happened to you? The helmet saved my life. Please stop Harold. Don't let him go after Loki. Based on what you said, it looks like the worst case scenario has come to pass. Harold, look around you. Come to your senses. Ah, Shanks. This undying body is a wonderful thing. I feel superior to all other life. Is there any way to break the control over him? Alright, the lock has been broken. There's the chest. This is that storied relic of Elbaf. The forbidden devil fruit. Kick, 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 kick. Whoa, who did that? Oh, come on, what a cliffhanger. Really? Do we know whose laugh that is? Gick, gick, gick. I can't remember. The hammer? Well, all I know is Usopp's got to get that hammer. He has to fulfill the prophecy. Hammer's laugh. Maybe it has a soul, said Brandon. Maybe. You know, Vegapunk said that all of the futuristic technology that he had was from the past, right? So maybe in the past They were already putting zoans and souls and kinds into inanimate objects already. So it's like an ancient being. It's kind of interesting. Hammer of the Galliolot giant used to build the ancient weapons. I mean, that's kind of interesting. If they're man-made. That's an interesting thing to think about. The hammer laughed. Yeah. Barry said, "Here's your sword back, old man."
You loyal.
That was the best line in the in the chapter. Shout out to Time Lord 22 Brandon. Member for 28 months. 28 months. Got the Sab back. I like this this new thing I've got, and it even shows. I didn't know how it was going to interact with like the member chats, but it even shows like the months when I highlight it. That's cool. Lion King said I couldn't chat. It said members only, then it said subscribers only. And I've been subbed for a while. I had to unsub and resubscribe. That's weird. Like I don't know what YouTube's doing at that point. I don't have the chat set to members only. I have the chat set to subscribers only. And I do that because we get way less spam when I do that. If I don't have subscribers only, then we just get like a ton of bots. Wheezy Bird said, I think Usopp gets Ja Rule's sword. I don't see a world where Usopp uses a sword, personally. I like the idea of him, you know, getting a hammer. Because, like, Usopp Pound and all of that. And it's like, he could get this major glow up in the way of, like, you know, where he doesn't have to necessarily eat a devil fruit or anything like that, but he gets this, like, really powerful hammer. So that the lie with the hammer and all that kind of comes true.
Certified drip.
It's about to get spicy. Shout out to K Pro. W's in the chat for K Pro. Lavish activity. Much appreciated. K Pro said, I'm a little disappointed Harold didn't realize his mistakes until his end. But at least he admitted his failures. That's true. Overall, I enjoyed it. It's just sad to see how far a great man could fall. But maybe that was the whole point. Just wondering about your take on it, if I may ask. I mean, I think that that's exactly what it is. And I will expand. But this idea of like showing that having the right intention doesn't always breed the best outcome. Harold was so blinded by the idea that he could save his people, that he could usher in a new world for them, take them into the new era. He thought that what he was doing was protecting them. And it's a shame, very much so, that he doesn't realize this until, you know, the very end. Like, it takes literally, like, oh man, like, I really signed a deal with, you know, this demon, for it to all kind of click for him. And, you know, there's a tragedy in that. And it's... the way Oda did it is great. Like, in the way of, like, showing all this. It's not my favorite type of character, though. You know, it's why I also really, you know, I talk about it all the time that I'm not a huge fan of Odin. And it's not that Oda directly, you know, did anything wrong with the character itself, but the fact that the character was so flawed that I can't bring myself to like them for my own personal reasons. It's like, I look at Harold and I say, how could you be so dumb? And I think that that's part of Oda's intention. Like, he wants us to look at that because he wants the reader to sort of, like, I would hope, be a little more you know, learn how to, you know, just comprehend your situation a little more. Take a step back. Look at every angle. Don't just be blinded by this, like, one desire and think that you can just barrel down and nothing bad will happen because you have good intentions. Odin danced for 5 years thinking naively that it was going to save his people, right? But really, he's one of the strongest people in the verse. Like, he should have just went in there, taken everything by force, which is, you know, kind of crazy to talk about and think about anyway, but or, you know, he should have said to Roger before he left, like, hey, can you help me, you know, handle this Kaido situation? But, you know, it's that chismo, that man pride. It's like, nah, this is my people. I got to do this on my own. That didn't work out for him. Harold, he was doing everything on his own. He didn't want to listen to Rox. Rox also wasn't very forthright about Emu. Probably could have prevented some things, but that's when you get into the idea of, you know, plot holes and paradoxes, because it's like Oda can write himself into a corner if Harold is too aware of everything. And ultimately, Luffy's got to save the day. So it's Oda creates these characters that failed with the goal that Luffy's victory will be sweeter knowing all of that. And that's the way that I kind of see it. So, personally, I don't like Harold as a character, but that's not so much because of Oda, but just because he's not the type of character that I'm drawn to. Like, I like characters that are a little more self-aware. Characters that kind of, like, look at every angle and it's like, you know what? maybe this isn't the best idea for my people. And at no point did that like ever come across him, because it was just like, no, like he was just eating that propaganda up. But that's, you know, that's the other benefit to all of this, right? Is what is the goal of this flashback, right? Because when we come out of the flashback, we're going to be right back where Imu has taken over Gunko, is about to, you know, kill some people that we know, probably, has already flipped Dorian Brogy and, you know, all this other stuff, right? So what's the goal here? The goal is to make Imu and the world government as awful as possible. Has Oda been effective in that? I think Oda's been effective in that throughout the entire story. Archipelago being probably the best example of it. You know, like just Charlo seeing the slaves, all that kind of stuff. So it's like this whole situation, this whole flashback is from the perspective of just what are the worst possible things that Oda could make the world government do. And then here's Harold, who, you know, from a sense of duty and a sense of honor, should be considered a great man, right? Because his heart was in the right place. He's just dumb. He's unaware. And the government took advantage of that because they want the giant's power, which is something that we've seen across the story anyway. Everybody's trying to figure out how to, you know, gigantify people and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's just size matters in the world of One Piece. And I think by the time we, you know, come out of all of this, the thing that Oda wants more than all is when he has Luffy punch Imu eventually, which has to happen, right? It's got to be satisfying. So it's all about building that up. And unfortunately, Harold is the product of that. You could call Harold a plot device. And realistically, you wouldn't be wrong to say it. So it just comes down to, was it effective or not? And I think that's the actual question. You know, I'm sure I'm sure that there's, you know, other discussion going around and, you know, talk of agendas and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just, was this effective in making the world government seem even more terrible or not? Because that's all Harold is a plot device for. And unfortunately, you know, I've met people. There's probably people in chat that have met individuals that don't see what's in front of them. Or you could tell somebody, don't go down that road. Don't go there. Don't do that. They're going to do it anyway. They're going to touch the stove. Harold touches the stove. So it's another, it's just, he's a touch the stove character. So, and K-Pro, by you saying that it was sad to see how far a great man could fall, in itself tells me that it was effective. So it's like this, we're you know, it's good to have this discussion. It's good to have this discussion because it's bringing back a lot of things that needed to be discussed during the Odin stuff, but I feel like kind of got swept under the rug because everyone was just like, Oda's so cool, and was, you know, blinded by the fact that we have all that great Whitebeard and Roger stuff. And I think that the same conversation that we were having, that everybody's having about Harold, I'm saying everybody, but at least we're having about Harold, needed to happen there as well. But you know, this is a trend. It's not exclusive to those two, right? I mean, we could talk about Riku also, by, you know, to a far lesser extent than, because Riku really didn't have a choice. He was controlled. He was puppeteered. And I'm sure if we start, you know, thinking about other kings and stuff like that, we'll inevitably run into others. But good discussion. Let's see. Thanks, K-Pro.
Savage.
Brandon said, the government doesn't just label pirates as bad. They literally make people gray or black, morally speaking, by their own will. I mean, it's you know, it's Orwellian in a way. It's just anybody that's against the system is bad. The only true good is the world government. And if you don't want to conform to the rules, you want to be an outsider, then you know, that's against the rules. Shout out to K-Pro.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Appreciate you. Said, yep, I agree with everything you said. Oda kind of showed what could happen if you try to conquer Emu, and what happens if you try to work with Emu. Good thing Luffy just wants to party. I like that you brought that up. We actually did just see two sides of it. Trying to conquer Emu, trying to work with Emu. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that means that there's just got to be a third way to all of this, and that's going to be Luffy's way, and that's what's actually going to work. And what do we know about Luffy? He doesn't want to conquer anything. Being the king of the pirates isn't about control for him. It might have been for rocks, in a way. So that's going to be fun. Harold went full Anakin, never go full Anakin. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. She said one similar trait to both Rox and Harold is they both seek to be killed in the same flashback, and both linked to Emu. And that goes to what K-Pro was just talking about. So you're seeing this from a whole bunch of different sides, so that you feel like everything has been covered when it comes to Emu. Their control is total. And that's why it needs to be changed. It's time for a new regime. Brandon said, it's a story time and time again of people naively trusting the government and then being forced to do the thing most counterintuitive to their goals. to undermine themselves. What Oda is doing, and what makes One Piece an effective story, and why the story has, been generating the worldwide, imagery and certain events around the world, is because Oda is actively teaching critical thinking with the story, if you're paying attention. And most One Piece fans, I do feel, pay attention. There are the ones that, just read the spoilers on Mondays or whatever and never actually look at the chapter and then start arguing about something that was fake in the spoilers. And then we got you guys. Savage Crew. Critical thinkers. And that's one of my favorite things about the story. Art should be thoughtful. It should make you think. It should muddy the playing field and make you, you should ask questions, All of James Cameron's movies do it. Just got out of Avatar recently. He's so good. If you haven't seen Avatar, guys, go see Avatar. Keep Big Jim on top. Nobody's doing it like Big Jim. Big him, Timothy Cameron. Kip said, how come nobody vouched for Loki in the present day after what we saw in this chapter? Harold, Gabon, and Shanks all witnessed this, yet everyone knows a different version of the story. Now, that's a great question. That's a really great question, right? Because with Shanks tying Loki up, it really implied that they didn't get there until the end. And we're seeing here now that they actually, they were there, like, pretty much for most of it. So, now the thing that they could muddy here, right, is they went to Laugh-Tale. Well, at least Gabon did, right? And I do think that Shanks knows everything. I've never felt that he doesn't know everything. Shanks, Gabon, Rayleigh, they all have some sort of a plan for, like, who the chosen one is supposed to be. And maybe this is getting a little tinfoily or whatever, but I mean, like, you go to any time that they've had conversations, it's like they've got something going on. So what if it's a thing where Loki goes to the fruit and Gabon and Shanks actively stop him from eating the fruit because they don't think that he's the chosen one from Poneglyph on Laugh-Tale. It's not part of the story that they were supposed to do. So they take the fruit. They set Loki up, unfortunately, because there's a greater good. It's not perfect. There's some holes there, given what happened in this chapter. But you could see something like that. Or do Shanks and Gabon kill Harold, and Loki comes back just in time to see Shanks kill Harold, and then he goes on the offensive and doesn't relent and then he's forced to get chained up because he didn't understand the full situation, and Shanks and Gabon are a little ahead. But I think the idea that Oda's trying to say here is that Loki does know what's going on because he's going to give key information to the Straw Hats, which really muddies things. We're just going to have to see next week. I mean, I think that like Kip brings up the most important question of this chapter, because it really doesn't make sense for Gabon and Loki, for Gabon and Shanks to leave Loki like that. Everybody else, I could assume, like, they died. Ja Rule, he got a lobotomy. He doesn't remember everything that happened. He's 400 something years old. I can buy that. Or like they're really just conspiring against him, and Ja Rule is in on it too. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the arc that Ja Rule is, sus for sure. There was a lot of moments in the first couple of chapters of Elbaf, where we were seeing Ja Rule, where we were just like, what's this guy's deal?
Savage.
Guardian Tree said Loki took the blame for Harold's legacy. Now we're getting into One Piece territory. Goes to see revenge. Shanks beats him to keep him from falling to Emu. So Shanks is protecting him from going to the Holy Land and trying to stop Emu. I could see that. But I also, like, it's very One Piece for Loki to, basically pull, the end of the Dark Knight. I did this. But they'll hunt you. I can be whatever this country needs me to be. The Silent Protector. I think we're gonna get the end of the Dark Knight. Shanks and Gabon are gonna kill Harold, and he's just gonna come over. He's gonna be like, "No, I did this." The hero Elbaf deserves, but not the one it needs right now. A watchful protector. I'm whatever Elbaf needs me to be. Oh, God. Oh, man. Starving Venom said, I don't know. This is supposed to be the moment that makes Shanks a Yonko capturing Loki. So if it's all a hoax, then Shanks is a fraud. I mean, anything to feed the agenda, right? I mean, not mine, but, other people for sure. Why is he running? Because we need to chase him. Because he can take it. Yeah. Brandon said, also, I just realized Emu's contracts are the exact opposite of the will of D. By design, of course. Instead of someone dying out of sheer will to be good, they're forced to do bad and live permanently with their sins. I mean, I like that, I love mirrors. I mean, there's a whole video on the channel about the dark mirrors, so anything that continues that. Saeed said he only got chained up 6 years ago, not now. He leaves and sails the seas. Which, you know, might be how the next chapter ends. You know, we get a little bit of that. I do feel like Oda will want to end the next chapter with coming back to the present and seeing Luffy, because it'll be the first chapter of the year. But I also feel like there's stuff that hasn't been told. And it would feel like we were really rushing if we get to that point. I want to see a little bit of Loki's journey. You know. We'll see. Bro, Loki took the shame, and Shanks stopped him from trying to take revenge and causing huge problems for Elbaf. Said K Pro. Yeah, I think that that's the best thing that's come out of all of this, because Loki is literally like seeing what his father is saying, you know, like at the verge of tears here and all that. So. And especially the fact that Harold literally says, I don't care about my reputation after this, is the best evidence for Loki trying to maintain Harold's reputation. Because what do we know about the present, too, right? Everybody calls Harold the Great King still. So no one knows the truth. Yeah. It's the Dark Knight. Brett, hi Randy. Was Kaido misremembering Rox's face at Onigashima? You mean when he was the 5 people? I just think that Oda probably hadn't decided on like the exact design. Saeed said the type of laugh the hammer made is a cackling or a raspy laugh. It's usually associated with monsters, spirits, or creeps. It can be used for a mocking or derisive tone. Okay. All right. So we're getting into some of the things we talked about earlier. Bazucap said, so the hammer has a fruit. Loki also ate one. Yeah, I think that the hammer has a fruit. It has some sort of a soul inside of it. So the hammer is going to be able to turn into some sort of animal. And it's going to be essentially what Vegapunk invented, but it's going to be from the past, which was future technology. So it's going to show that they were able to do that back then, which may also even imply, now that I'm thinking about it, is that Shamrock's sword might be something that Vegapunk didn't create, but is actually something that was ancient and passed down through lineage. That's something I just thought of in connection to it. Do I think the fruit in the chest is the Nika fruit? I think there's a good chance for it, because Shanks is here and he may be able to get it. What I think needs to happen though is the government needs to get the fruit, right? So there might need to be some sort of like government seizure or something where they get the fruit, or Loki doesn't eat the fruit and he takes it with him on his journey out to the seas, and it gets taken by the world government while he's out at sea, and he gets a special bounty specifically because he's in possession of the fruit, and they don't want like his ship to get sunk or anything like that because the world government wants the fruit. So there might be some sort of mission that Loki goes on with the fruit that inevitably Shanks absorbs, takes over, and it finds its way to Luffy. How Loki gets a fruit, you know, maybe it gets swapped at some point. He's convinced that he is the sun god. But I've also said maybe he doesn't have a fruit at all. And he's just playing a game.
Savage.
No. It's all lies. Loki is the master of mischief. So I don't think it would be out of left field if Loki was lying about everything. One, to protect Harold, and then two, to protect the fruit. And then once he realizes Luffy's the guy that actually ate the thing that I was protecting. He's the one from the prophecy. Like, I mean, I don't know how much Loki's going to know about the prophecy. Shanks and Gabon, Rayleigh, like, they know about this prophecy because they went to Laughdale. Shout out to K Pro, said, now hear me out. Loki eats the hammer Big Mom style. I mean, it feels like One Piece. I don't know if it's gonna actually happen, but I like it. Aphotic Blaze said, I think it's Luffy's fruit in the chest. I think it makes sense if it's Luffy's fruit in the chest, because it's like, we're trying, at the end of the day, we need to lift up our protagonist, and we need to show why this was even told to us in the first place. If it's not Luffy's fruit in the chest, then it's like, what is this all about? But if it is Luffy's fruit in the chest, then it's like, okay, I get why we went on this whole journey to get to this moment, because we're trying to explain why this fruit is so dangerous. So we may get some lore on all that. Also, on your Batman jokes, I could see Loki going to Emu to stop him, and Emu wins, saying, your tragedy is nothing, your pain and suffering wasn't enough to beat me. I was born in it, born by it. Yeah, well, I mean, like, that's exactly what it would be. Like, it's just and I mean, like, Emu's just a shadow, right? So it's just the Bane dialogue all over again. You think darkness is your ally? I was born in it, murdered by it. By the time I saw the light, I was already a man. Alright, so Emu's gonna get the Bane voice from now on. I'm just gonna read all of it as Bane. He thinks you can beat me? I don't know. But it's so hard to not go into Yoda when I see the way that it's written, though. Like, I just did a Bane Yoda, caught myself. I'm like, ah. Jedman said, I could see Cypherpole being on the island, stealing the fruit in the chaos, and Shanks setting out to chase them. There's holes in this, too. Yeah. Brandon said, where's Who's Who to play in all of this? Exactly. I mean, like, the government has to get the fruit at some point. So it's like, do they occupy Elbaf? Do they have agents like Jedman saying that just kind of come in and, like, take advantage of the chaos? Maybe. It's a little too convenient, but you know, whatever. I think I actually like my idea that like Loki becomes the protector of the fruit and he takes it away from Elbaf and he keeps it on a ship with him and then it gets stolen from him. It's still, there's still holes and it's kind of dumb, but I don't know. We'll see. Guardian Tree said, have we gotten a close enough look at the hammer to know if it's a poneglyph? I mean, I didn't look for that in particular. No, I think it's just a hammer. I really like this chat thing that I've added to the streams. This is awesome. Do I think we get the fruit next chapter? I mean, I feel like I feel like we need lore on the fruit more than anything now. I mean, like if there's a hammer trying to protect the fruit, then it's like this thing is there's even more to this that needs to get explained. Jin said you never know what Oda chest could have the jacket fruit. You know, I would love to see those brothers come back in the final war and just be like, end up being the most important characters in the whole thing. And I said also, I can totally see someone asking Oda where Gil Bastar was on the color page. And Oda says, oh, he's there, just invisible with his ghost fruit. I totally didn't forget. Wipe sweat off brow. I mean, that would be a crazy way to reveal that, like, Perona could go invisible. But I mean, considering, like, the actual Suke no Mi was in Thriller Bark, where the ghost fruit was introduced, I think that would be kind of wild. I honestly, I didn't even notice that Gil wasn't on it. And I don't know if a lot of other people are going to, you know, notice it either. But it's also saying, like, hey, this guy wasn't really that important to the big scheme of things. Which is sad. Jedman said the chat thing is very cool. I'm on desktop today, but I usually watch on my phone, and it'll be a big help. They said the hammer was there in that same panel in chapter 1152, if you look closely. Yeah, I remember seeing a hammer next to the chest, and we talked about it for, you know, extensively, and then we looked back at, you know, Ragnir and the hammer that Loki walks in with, and we were like comparing the hammers. So you'd say, well, now that you mention it, they are named after wrestlers, the Funk Brothers. Oh, the jacket fruit's coming to Elbaf. Oh man. And they're gonna have to it's gonna have to interact with Dory for sure. Dory's based on the Funk Brothers. Awakened jacket fruit will unzip the red line. Mr. Nine said, "Who's Who is a message from Oda. Who's Who told us about Nika while Luffy and Kaido fought for who would be Joy Boy. We need to question who Joy Boy is. He may not be the Luffy character. We need more information on it all." Brandon said, "Also imagine the fruit is just the egg fruit Baron Tamago had, and the joke is related to the cycle of birth and death of the world." I mean, it's like, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Let's take another look here at this this chapter. Oh, I almost forgot because it's about, this is the last stream before Christmas. Some gifts out.
Together we're stronger.
The other.
Together we're stronger.
Trees got one. Blind King. Danny DeLucia. Spencer Aggie. That's fun. All of that can get individually thrown on.
Another one.
Hey. Jedmond. Welcome to Savage. Oh, that's what it says. Said overdue. I appreciate it. Let's take another look at this chapter here. See if there's anything else that we missed. One of the things is I feel like Oda's been packing these chapters pretty densely and not always leaving the most room for theories, you know, in a way. It's kind of like everything is getting explained. I do like that, you know, Shanks knows that Ace exists, because that makes things interesting. We always wondered if he already knew. All this stuff with
in a lavish bracket, gotta have it. Racks, I gotta
wait.
Beat my fabric.
Tie.
Do you see this jacket? Pay my taxes. Trust me, you can track it.
Put those W's in the chat for Ty. I gotta figure out how to change the text here, because when I put it on the screen, you can't really read that. That's kind of weird. The other ones you can. But we got Ty here. He said, "Sorry, I'm late, Cap. Don't worry, you're on time. If anybody was late today, it was me." Ty said, "I think Clover's purpose is Oda's way to have a Shanks killed by Blackbeard without really. Also, I don't think this fruit is the Hito or the Darkness fruit. Could Shanks still be using Abyss Travel? Ja Rule has one of 12 legendary blades. Merry Christmas, Savage Crew. I said Oda can't kill Shanks. Let's see. Ty, I'm confused, man. The clover emoji means you're talking about Clover, right? Oh, the clover means Shamrock. I'm like trying. I'm like, wait, what? Why are we talking about Clover? All right, Clover. He's talking about Shamrock. All right, thinking Shamrock's purpose is for Oda's way to have his Shanks killed by Blackbeard without really having Oda kill Shanks. Okay, I'm with you 100% there. And I may have said that once before because I was like, that's one of those things where when you have a twin, like you got to get rid of one of them, right? And I think that there is a lot in the story leaning towards Shanks maybe dying by the end. I don't like the Blackbeard kills Shanks stuff, but especially, you know, like I've seen so many theories over the years where people are like, oh, you know, it's going to be so sad because he's never going to be able to return the hat because Shanks is going to get off-screened or, you know, get killed somewhere where Luffy isn't. And I'm like, Oda is never going to do that, in my opinion. I think that, like, if Shanks dies, it's after Luffy and Shanks have already met, fought, discussed everything that they need to discuss. Luffy, you know, like, it gives the hat back. Shanks says, you know, you keep it, it looks better on you, whatever that ends up being. But yeah, I'm 100% on board for Shamrock gets killed by Blackbeard, and then that is symbolically a way to, like, avenge his father, right? Because Figureland put the, you know, essentially the final blow into Rocks. And what I also like about it is there were so many theories over the years of Blackbeard with the Cerebus fruit. So I feel like, you know, it's almost like a meta thing if Blackbeard and Shamrock fight. Ty said, also, I don't think this fruit's the Hito or the Darkness. You're talking about in the chest? I think it's gotta be Luffy's fruit, man. Because otherwise it's like, why are we here? What are we trying to, what are we really trying to say? If we have this whole big flashback, right? And then at the end of it, like, the focus goes on Luffy's fruit and the importance of Luffy's fruit as we're about to transition into Luffy using the fruit to combat Emu, right? Then we get this whole thing where Emu wanted Elbaf and, you know, wanted Harold and everything like that specifically because he knew that he had the fruit. Because it's the one thing that can counter his ability. So it's like, if we can get that out, then I feel like it justifies for the casual viewer, the casual reader, that doesn't have the retention for everything that just happened in God Valley or even the earlier part of Elbaf. They get to the end of the flashback and it's like, oh, Luffy's for, oh, okay, cool. I think it's got to be that. Ja Rule has one of 12 legendary blades. I mean, that'd be crazy if one of the... It'd be crazy. One of the 12 legendary blades is just living it up in Ja Rule's head. Yeah. That thing's gotta get yanked. Yeah, everybody, the clover means shamrock, not clover. Jin says Shanks' arm got eaten. He can't abyss travel, but the Sea King that ate his arm can. That's crazy. I think this chapter like confirmed that Shanks cannot use abyss travel. I forgot to talk about that part with Ty's message here. Ty said, could Shanks still be using abyss travel? Like, I wanted it. I wanted Shanks to be able to use abyss travel. Because I feel like it was going to I thought it would explain things like him getting to, you know, the Holy Land, you know, because I'm team that was him during the Reverie and not Shamrock talking to the Five Elders. Because I feel like they would just talk to Shamrock, but for them to say, because it's you, will entertain, you know, an audience. But the fact that Shanks broke it down as he basically said you need the second covenant to abyss travel. So like Harold would be able to abyss travel, but Shanks he didn't get to that part unless it happens later. I mean, that would be kind of crazy if he did take the covenant and then he can't use it anymore because of the Sea King. I don't know. I mean, he would have regrown his arm though. So, but I'm
Savage.
Shout out to Kate Pro said, no one's talking about the fact that Shanks is God Knight level. Turned the job down to be a bum sailing on a boat. I mean, that's the story we're telling. It's all about bums on boats. And I mean, his short time in the Holy Land is the only time where he was, you know, dripping. Shanks, like, he goes full method bum on a boat. Eats the arm of a God's Knight. Can they teleport? I don't know. I think there's more of a. I think why are you eating people's arms is a better question. Guardian Tree said it's really hard to explain how Who's Who got the Nika fruit if that's the one in the chest here. I know, and we were talking about that earlier. But I mean, I like the idea if Loki's got to go out to sea, if there's some element of him like trying to get out of there with the fruit to protect it, but ultimately he loses the fruit, and then Shanks gets it back, and then Luffy eats it, you know, blah blah blah. Like, let's say this, right? The hammer is already laughing, so it might as well talk. What if it's a thing where the hammer tells him like, hey, you can't eat this fruit, but you need to get it away from here as fast as possible. And then Loki like just like trusts this hammer, gets on a boat and like sails away with it. Something like that. I mean, it's not perfect, but Saeed said, so when Killingham said earlier in the arc that those without the mark can't pass through the abyss, did he mean only the depths covenant mark? Oh. So Shanks might not be able to create an abyss, but he might be able to walk through them. See, now that I like, and that goes to what Ty was talking about. So, like, if Shanks knows where the abyss marks are, he might be able to teleport through that by not breaking it, but he might be able to use active ones. Because I also really like the idea of, like, you know, that's how the Red Force showed up at Marineford. Like, the man was able to, like, teleport his entire ship and everybody on it somehow. I don't know. Or, you know, he goes into the, puts a black cloak on, walks somewhere, and then ends up in the Holy Land. Because it's like, imagine we see, like, his arm, and it still has, like, the faintest little bit of the mark. Like, the Sea King didn't bite the entire thing off. Like, there's one, like, little bit of a bone on the side. You're getting something there. I said, so neither Loki nor Ragnar ate the fruit in the chest. I'm telling you, like, I'm team Loki might not have a fruit at all. And I've been saying this. Like, if he does have a fruit, it's got to be something that, like, materializes things in the same way that the Gear 5 fruit does. But I think that he's just lying. He's just a master of mischief. Like, this is where him and, you know, Usopp are gonna connect. I like the idea that was brought up, which makes the most sense. Is like he wanted to save face for his dad, who is still remembered as a good king to this day, so people don't know the truth. So Loki was like, yeah, this was all me. The end of the Dark Knight. I don't know if you were here for that, Ty. He's the hero that Elbaf deserves, but not the one that it needs right now. Loki's whatever Elbaf needs him to be. So you can take that blame. Leo Legendario said, Rox knew about Elbaf's devil fruit, but never heard of Nika before. Yeah, that's still kind of weird to me. And obviously is like a deliberate thing from Oda, but it's like, why? But that's the other, but you know, there's the, but the reason why, like, I mean, the easy thing is, well, they suppressed, you know, knowledge of Nika and all that. But the thing is like, Rox was so in the know with everything else. Why wouldn't he know about Nika? Nika's got multiple names, like Rox does. The Legendario said Shanks and Luffy will meet on the way to Laugh-Tale. I think they'll meet on Laugh-Tale. And Buggy will be there too. K-Pro said, I'm with you, Ty. I'm starting to think Shanks won't die, because him seeing the world change would be full circle from Roger's dream at the start. I think that Shanks and Buggy need to fulfill their promise to get to Laugh-Tale together. And I've felt that for a long time, since we, you know, got that. It was just like, oh, okay, well, there's your proof that Shanks isn't going to die, because he's got to get to Laugh-Tale. But here's Guardian Tree saying the same thing. I want Shanks and Buggy to get to Laugh-Tale together. I'll take that away from Yoda. Who's Who appears in the cover story of the mural chapter. I mean, I feel like it should almost be guaranteed that he will appear in this in this flashback. Who's Who will return, whether you like it or not. It said Shanks can just chop up Shamrock's arms to teleport himself. He just takes the arm and just like, now I got one. And then Shamrock just grows another. Could you imagine like Shanks and Shamrock are fighting? A lesser anime, a lesser manga would absolutely do this. I don't think Oda would do this because it's too like eye-rolly. But it's like Shamrock just cuts his arm off, throws it to Shanks, makes him like put the arm on, and then it like works for some reason. Shamrock just grows another, and then they go all out. Now Shanks has an arm. Saguma God Knight level now? Yes. Brandon said the reason it's good writing for it to be Luffy's fruit is because it's Oda's style. Answering a question by asking 3 more. That's why it's perfect. Ghoster Guy, howdy Randy. Howdy Ghoster Guy. For a favorite child, Loki asked Luffy to free him because the chains drain his strength. I don't see any reason to not believe him. He got mad when Luffy wouldn't help. Look, there is a chance that he has a fruit. There's a chance that he doesn't have a fruit. But he does believe that he is the sun god. But, you know, in the same way that I now am fully on board with him lying to the people of Elbaf to protect his father's name, I think he'd be lying that he's the sun god also. And what I like about it too is that if he lies and says that he ate the fruit, it helps with why the government didn't keep searching for it and didn't go hard for Luffy until they realized, oh wait, he has the fruit. Because if they thought he was just chained up on Elbaf, it's like, whatever. I mean, it's not great. I mean, they should be sending people to kill him or whatever and trying to get the fruit anyway, but for 800 years, it's just like, whatever. Like, he's tied up. It's fine. He's of no threat to us now. It's typical villain hubris. Loki could have eaten a different fruit. Wow, let's see. Yep. Guardian Trees, appreciate the super said, we need to know why Rock said Harold had to be the one to eat the fruit. That's the biggest reason why I'm uncertain it was Luffy's. I don't know. We'll see, you know, in the first chapter of 2026, you know. I won't know until January, but the I think we'll know. And I think that it just at this point doesn't make any sense for it to be anything other than Luffy's fruit for me. And if it is something else, all right, so we move on and we take it. Keep going. Jin said thoughts on Oda's message at Jump Festa. Well, I loved everything hyping up season 2. Hope everybody enjoyed the footage that was released, and I'm excited to finally see the man marked by flames in action. Everything else was just blank meets blank, 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 you know, whatever. And I guess he implied that there's a movie being worked on, so you know, that's kind of cool, but probably not going to see it for 2 to 3 years. You're not complete, bro. Here, have an arm. I feel like that's something that you'd see in Bleach. Ty said, what's the Kalshi odds for Usopp using Ragnir, Jaru's legendary sword? So, not the sword. I don't think Usopp is going to be a swordsman. But that hammer is going to be Usopp's. Otherwise, all of the hammer stuff with Usopp throughout the story, 5-ton hammer, Usopp pound, golden pound, it's for nothing. My boy needs to be the Lord of Destruction, so let him have that gigantic size-changing hammer. Oda's message gets redacted like it's from the DOJ. Yeah, that's what all those Jump Festa messages feel like. This is blacked out. Said more hype now. Season 3 is officially shooting. Yep, season 3 is officially shooting. Well, Brandon said Shanks and Buggy get to laugh till Shanks laugh, Buggy doesn't. The clown doesn't laugh. You remember? I mean, that's still one of my favorite theories that I stand by. Like, there is no better development for Buggy if he isn't like one of the first people to get to Laugh Tale. Like, even if Shanks isn't there, like I stand by this. Like, I want Buggy to see it and not laugh. The clown doesn't laugh. Like, that's what I need. And then I need him to walk away. Like, it's just like, this is how I would like end One Piece. It's like Buggy sees it, he doesn't laugh, he hears all of the Straw Hats like about to come in, and like, you know, Luffy's about to become the, you know, the Pirate King or whatever. They're all gonna be there together, and Buggy just walks out. He just like lets Luffy have it because he realizes this was never for him. And that's character development. The man meets that man in Blank Island. Brett said, since we know Elbaf is also the name of a god they worship, my guess is the legendary fruit is the zone of the god war god Elbaf, and that's why the fruit gives dominion over the Galila. If that's the case, I never got the idea that Elbaf is a person or a god that they necessarily worship. It could be interesting. Theory, Loki's fruit can manipulate fate. It's a thread fruit to mirror Dofi's. I feel like that's a little too spiritual even for One Piece. It's kind of like canonizing Baccarat from Film Gold, but like on a awakened level. I just want I want an answer to fate, but I don't know if I want it to be a devil fruit. Kip said, I want Loki to have a Logia, but I don't know at what point it will be. Considering that Hirunden like went into the Kurita Coliseum trying to get the Maramara no Mi, I feel like there was dialogue implying that no warrior of Elbaf has or ever had a Logia. You know, or someone was like, I've never seen a giant with a Logia fruit before. I mean, like, that would be so broken. I don't know. It's cool, but it's also like, what elements do we have left? The wood fruit. What else could be a Logia? Like, I don't know. Oh, that's a good point, actually. Guardian Tree said Loki having a Logia might mean he could turn small. So if he ends up, if that's the case, then yeah, Loki's like, you know, he's on the cruise. You know, he's coming along for the journey. Sayed said, yeah. He said, have you ever seen a giant with a Logia? Well, you'll see one when I win. Water fruit, yeah. Cloud Logia? I mean, I feel like that's Smoker. You know, I feel like if you have Cloud and the Smoker, then it just feels like... I mean, you know, we do have Magma and Fire, but... What if Loki has the only mythical Logia, the Maramara no Mi mythical version of the flame? You know what? That you actually just made me think of, and we talked about this chapters ago, or whatever. I don't know how canon Oda is, or like how attached Oda is to the Boichi Ace stuff. But it's like, now that we're talking about the Maramara no Mi, right? And Ace gets his fruit on a crashed ship from Elbaf on Sixus Island. What if that's Loki's ship? And he had, you know, there's like multiple fruits or something like that. So Loki made it all the way to the East Blue, which gets us a little bit closer to Luffy also. So he crashes, he washes up on Sixus. Mera no Mi is considered, you know, something special to the Elbaf race, which then makes it, you know, why Hiruden wants to go so hard to get it anyway, because he knows that it has some meaning, right? That would make Dressrosa better, right? In hindsight, and like just having Hiruden there. And then you could say that the ship was wrecked by the world government, and that's how Who's Who got the Nika. And then Shanks goes in, but like throughout all of this, like the fire fruit is what got like lost in the shuffle or forgotten. Oh wait, no, they got the fruit because they kicked the bird and the bird spit it up, right? So am I remembering that correctly? I know there was like this giant bird, and I think they hit it, and then I think it coughed up the chest, and then they opened it, and it was the Mera no Mi. And Deuce and Ace take a bite from it at the same time, but Ace got the powers. I still want like Luffy's fruit to play a role here, but it's like I need a reason why that was a ship from Elbaf. You know what I'm saying? Like why was there a ship from Elbaf crashed into an island in the East Blue? So Sun fruit would be cool. You know what would be cool is if that's actually the real name for the Mera no Mi. And then like we get a shot from later on where like Sabo's in front of Sakazuki. It's like, oh, I've dealt with your fruit before. Magma's hotter than fire. It's like, yeah, well, Ace didn't know the real name of the fruit. It's the sun fruit, and the sun burns hotter than magma. Doing something like that. Guardian trees. Ooh, I kind of dig that Ace got Elbaf's fruit. Yeah, I think that I'm not convinced that it's the Mera no Mi in the chest, but I think that it's a possibility. And then Loki leaves with the Mera no Mi, which is considered the sun fruit or something like that. Gets on that ship, ends up crashing in Sixus. A bird eats the fruit. So everybody is like, but we got this other one. He ends up having two friends. Shanks gets that, and eventually Luffy eats it. I mean, we're working things through here. Let's get some W's in the chat for Ty.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Did we already establish if time moves faster or slower on Elbaf? Thinking this flashback runs through March, April. Thoughts on the Gorosei possibly being good dudes from the ancient kingdom. Imu possesses these leaders of industry to gain total control. Now that's some Oda work right there, right? Because the reason I would buy that the Gorosei could potentially be good people from the past, right, is every time they're forced to do something, look at their faces. They're always like, God, we gotta do something else again. Oh no, you know, like they don't want to do this. They don't want anything to do with it. So maybe they're all like Harold. But instead of Harold saying like, oh, I would rather die than submit to this, they're just like, this is what it is. It's what I signed up for. It comes with the dinner. So now as far as the time moving faster or slower, I don't even know where to begin with that. I honestly, like, I know that it was the narrator, it was Louis Arnault, like it's got to come into play. I don't understand how it's going to come into play or like what the purpose of it is. Like, is it a way to get us another time skip without like a real time skip or something? But I feel like it just like it muddies the story because we're also getting these things where it's like, okay, 14 years ago, but then it still lines up with our timeline. But what, like, I almost don't want to entertain this like time moving faster or slower thing because it doesn't make sense with the way that I think of like everything else in One Piece. And that's that feels like the big issue of it. I feel like it's got to get addressed, but I don't know. It breaks my brain to think about it because it's like it opens the door for so many paradoxes, and it's like Oda already like, you know, put like Terminator rules to the time travel in Wano, right? It's like instead of like you only go back and you know you can't go back once you've gone. It's like you're only going forward. Like, and by going forward, there is no paradox, because paradoxes happen when you go back in time. So it's like you're just going into the future. You got to catch up on everything that happened. It's like, okay, cool. You just solved the biggest problem in time travel writing. They just went forward. That's it. Having time move faster or slower is like it's kind of like muddying and messing with that idea. This flashback running through March or April is wild, though. I think I will have to reassess what the first chapter of the year is going to be, because right now I feel like this could end next chapter. And it would feel really rushed. But I could feel the editors and like the heads of Shueisha being like, Oda, like, baby, where's Luffy? Our boy's been gone too long. Like, he's the face of this. Like, we need him back for the first chapter of the year. Can you do that for us? Come on. So I just like, there's a part of me that's like, there's no way the first chapter of the year doesn't end with like Luffy. Like, it needs to end with Luffy at the end of it. And it's like, if the fruit in the chest is Luffy's fruit, then it's like, okay, we're symbolically with Luffy because that's his fruit. We're learning about Luffy. So it's like, okay. You just bought some time, Oda. You just bought some time. If We see baby Luffy. Okay, Oda, you just bought some time. You just bought some time. Like something with Luffy has to happen in the first chapter of the year. I'm sorry, like I can't see from like just a business standpoint that not happening. But the way that this chapter ended is like, okay, like we still have so much to do. We got like Harold needs to die. We need more context on whatever, like what's going on with Shanks and Gabon. Like, why are they here? We need to see Loki, you know, take the blame. This hammer thing needs to get addressed. Like, why is it talking? Why is it laughing? What's in the box? What's in the box? Loki needs to go out to sea. He eventually needs to get chained up by Shanks, which maybe directly ties into him becoming a Yonko. And it would be really nice to see Shanks like actually pull up to Who's Who in canon. I'd like to see that. So, I mean, from that perspective, February, early March, something like that. But I don't know. I will reassess in the new year. There's got to be something Luffy related in the next chapter. I said, so Loki gets hitched to Lola while chained to a tree. Yeah, we need to see the Lola stuff too. You know, like when does that happen? Mid 2026, quarter 3. I don't know. I don't know about all that. What would be a year of Flashback? When did this start? Because I don't remember now. Because if Oda really wanted to be super crazy, he'd be like, yeah, like in real life, he had a flashback for an entire year. But all this like really emphasizes like exactly how endgame Oda wants everything that's happening on Elbaf to feel. Because if you're given all this lore and then we're coming back and we're fighting Emu, like we are in the end game. And not only that, like I've said it before too, like I don't even want to go back to Luffy, but I know from a business standpoint they have to. I want to see what everybody else is up to. Show me Cross Guild, show me Blackbeard, show me like every other faction, like because all of it's got to converge in the end. Just like, you know, how everything felt like it all naturally like came together by the time we got to Marineford in the first half of the story. We're gonna need that for the next part here. Jibman said, Ty, if Oda is potentially saying we're moving out of Elbaf in 2026, and Jump Festa note, this flashback's probably only got like 2 to 3 chapters left. Yeah, there's a lot that Oda could do, but I think business-wise, he's got to wrap this up. I can almost guarantee Shueisha is hitting Oda with the like wrap it up button. There's no way he's not getting that right now. Leo Legendary. The only thing I find strange is Emu saying the Holy Knights are taking too long when they just arrived in Elbaf. Well, I mean, if that weighs into this whole time displacement thing, then maybe. Shin said, will Oda reveal who Mosa is in the manga before the anime uses Shiroshi's voice actor for Mosa in Elbaf 2026? That's a great point. Because that is a very recognizable voice actor. So I think we would. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Jim, but the reason we went into this flashback was to see what happened with Harold. So even though there will be other things to learn, when Harold dies, the flashback has completed its narrative purpose. Fair point. It could be a thing where we do get back to Luffy right at the end of that, and then we get into another flashback to get the rest of the stuff. Saeed said, Ty, no, that happens when he's traveling by the seas. By my estimation, it probably happened 8 to 10 years ago, based off of Pudding's flashback of when Lola left Tataland at her age. And her age. Yeah. Zoro Jr. said, it's kind of exciting that we have no idea where we're going to go after Elbaf. It will be so crazy if we go to an island that we've never heard of for a little bit after this. Because it's like, I almost feel like we're done with that. Like, Egghead and Winter Island felt like that's it. Those are the last two islands we've never heard of that are playing like a somewhat major role in the story. Major for Egghead, somewhat major for Winter. It's like at this point it's got to be like, Lodestar, Laugh-Tale, like the Holy Land, like returning to Fishman Island, going back to Wano, like but if there is some sort of story to be told on a new magical island, you see the Emerald City, like I don't know, like then that'd be crazy. But I mean, that's what I said after Wano. I was like, I just want one more island that like we had, because it feels like it's the end of the story. Like before we get to Elbaf, let's have one breather, and Egghead ended up being that. Cone Killer said, how much you want to bet Loki never was betrothed to Lola? It was some schlub impersonating him, the Big Mom, to try and gain power, like someone else from Estrid's clan or something. Could you imagine if the silhouette that we see, like that, the chubby schmo was actually just a fake Loki? It's kind of funny, but it's like if that happened, then I would want Loki to actually, the real Loki, to meet Lola and fall in love, though, like. But I don't see that happening at this point. Hey, DK. Yes, I did hear about the Joy Boy voice actor thing. I think it's great. Good to see you, buddy. Brandon said, a new island, you said. Elbaf's Heaven Realm connected to another magical sky island. I like that. The moon would effectively like fit into that pattern also, though. Like the moon is like sort of expected, but it's still like it would still be like kind of a surprise thing. Jim and say what happens after Harold dies has a lot to do with Shanks, so we can tie up loose ends when we learn the truth about what he was up to. Yep, I saw Oda's message. DK, how'd you feel about the teaser that came out today? Saeed said it was Damara Black impersonating Loki. I love it. Did I see the video Taz uploaded? I watched a snippet of it on Instagram. I want to watch the whole thing though. I could see a moon arc. I could see it too. He said, "Love the first teaser. First look at the best old hag in the show." Was she in the background of one of those shots? Probably was. The teaser was too short. There will be more. Don't worry. Longer ones are coming. Enjoy ball. Saeed said there was that small line in Egghead where Frankie was pointing to the lava phase, telling a giant, and the giant said, "Oh, you mean a sky island?" Just wait, Cone Killer. Just wait. All right, I'm gonna take another look at this chapter here. See if there's anything else that jumps out at me. I'm probably gonna start winding down. This has been a fun one. I think we got out a lot of cool ideas, and I think more than what the text even really brought out. I just noticed that you can see a baby version of Ripley and Gabon's kid in this shot on page 8. I didn't notice that on the read because I was too focused on the text and Shanks talking about the Covenant bond. It's interesting to me how much cooler OP Netflix's costumes look when compared to, say, the new Street Fighter movie. I mean, speaking of the Street Fighter movie, I was just glad that they beat up a car at the end. That's all I wanted. A costume team kills it, but we went through all the color spreads. Make sure everybody's drippy. Ty said, "Are you going to cover chat any of the One Piece live action on the channel?" I'm not going to make any videos, probably. Just because I think that I would have to... unfortunately, I would have to like send everything to Netflix to get approved. We'd have to go through marketing, and like execs would have to watch it and feel comfortable with like it being out and like representing the brand, and it's just too much of a headache. So it's like casually in streams or whatever when the season drops, like, you know, we'll be able to like talk about stuff, but you know, it's like there's so much that there's a lot of cool things that could share, and obviously not now, but don't know if I can anyway. So it's like it's why I never did any videos when season 1 came out. I had conversations and it was just like, okay, this is gonna be too much of a headache. So DK said every department's doing amazing, but the costumes department is unbelievable. I worked with the new showrunner before for season 3. Well, the season 3 showrunners are Joe Trace and Ian Stokes, and Joe Trace was co-showrunner season 2, and Ian Stokes has been on the show since season 1. He wrote the Buggy episode, and he also he's got technically 2 episodes in season 2. So, yeah. Casual streams for the win. Through the covenant, the holy knights of God gain superhuman strength, an undying body, as well as the ability to generate an abyss, a means of traveling long distances. But in exchange, no matter where you are, your orders cannot defy the orders of the Great One, whose voice will reach you in any range. That's why Shanks not generate the abyss, but I do like the idea that you can still use them. It's vague there and potentially intentionally so. Most important line of this chapter, and I think that the thing that Oda wants to hammer is, once I'm dead, my reputation means nothing to me. All that matters is Elbaf's future. Am I wrong? And that's why Loki will be whatever Elbaf needs him to be. The silent protector. Silent guardian. A watchful protector. A dark knight who can take the fall for Harold's crimes. Preserve hope in the country. Yeah, I'm excited for the first chapter of the year, and I do still want to plan best of 2025 tier list kind of stream. We generally do them each year, so. Those are a lot of work to put together. I hope someone else makes a tier list and I can just sort of like copy it or something. Just find one. I think I've made them every year and it takes so much time. And this particular time of the year is always tough and it only gets tougher every year because it's like it's Christmas and then my son's birthday, just days after. So it's like bang bang. but I would like to go through and take a look at everything. But I'm also going to need to find the time to like page through all of the chapters again. Top 10 chapters. Robin slaps a holy knight. Well, Robin stuff is, I mean, that's got to be up there. Fodaka Blaze said, Randy, I think Shamrock was warning the elders about Luffy eating the Nika fruit, and that leads to the conversation about it. I don't like the idea of that being Shamrock in that moment. I think it's more interesting if it's Shanks. But, you know, it does feel like the Gorosei kind of get activated about, you know, going after Luffy even harder after that moment, so I don't know. But the other thing, too, is like, it might be a thing where Shanks did it because he needed, you know, there's a timetable for all this stuff, and he needed Luffy to, like, TikTok, buddy, like, turn into Nika. DK said, I think we're all due another office video of all your collectibles. Well, I have a matching bookshelf that I have here now on the opposite side of the room, which is where all of the old figures that were behind me are. Yeah. I mean, it is worth doing because it's like nobody else looks at this stuff but me. Might as well like share it so people can see this stuff. That "hey kid, you want to get tall fast" line kills me. Yeah, that's all Ian. Yes, you. Alex Mirren said Shanks' mark seems to be gone. Maybe. We don't know. There could be like a portion, a sliver of it, which would be interesting to see if it still allows him like some sort of connection. By the way, the admin calendar has been awesome and worth the 40. I know that you shared the ornament, which I really liked. If there's anything else that's really cool, please like put it in the Discord so I can see. Nice. All right, guys. I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope everybody that celebrates Christmas has a great one. Otherwise, happy holidays to everyone. I am going to try for a tier list video of all of the chapters. If anybody sees that someone did make a shareable tier list maker thing that has all the chapters on it or something, please put it in the Discord because it'll help me so that I don't have to make it because I really don't have the time. Don't go out and make one yourself. Someone will make one if you find it. You know, like, go ahead. Let's see. I just got to make sure that. Okay. Yeah, probably on the 28th. Yeah, I could probably make that work. And fun chapter, fun stream, fun year. You know, thank you everybody for being with me this year. Happy New Year if I don't see you at the tier list stream because of holiday things and all of that. But we'll be back here in January for 1170. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all the filthy animals. To all the filthy savages. And, yeah. Appreciate you guys. Catch you later. Bye.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.